Dear learners, welcome back to your educational channel Learn and Educate, where we were studying a few basics of Income Tax Act 1961, where income tax consolidates and amends the law relating to income tax and super tax. In this video, Section 2, Clause 37A, rate rate or rates in force or rates in force in relation to an assessment year, where an assessment year as per section 2 clause 9 means the period of 12 months commencing on the first day of April every year. Assessment year is a period of 12 months which starts on 1st of April every year and ends on 31st March of the next year. For example, for the purpose of previous year beginning on 1st April 2023 to 31st March 2024. For this previous year, assessment year would begin on 1st of April 2024 to 31st March 2025. Therefore, assessment year means the period of 12 months beginning on first day of April every year, or a financial year. The rates in force in relation to an assessment year or a financial year. A financial year is a period of 12 months which is used by every organization, business entity, non-profit organizations, government bodies, or any other entity for the purpose of calculation of income, expenditure, revenue, receipts, donation received, donations given, any amount of money received and or given between the parties, between the persons, for the purpose of calculation of revenue, income and expenditure, a period for which accounts are being made, a period for which accounts are made and closed, and for the purpose of calculating profit or loss for that particular financial year, taking into consideration the period of the 12 months. A financial year begins generally for the business entity on 1st April and ends on 31st March, but some entity can use the calendar year of 1st January to 31st December, or any other entity can use a period beginning on 1st of July to 30th June. Rates or rates in force is are in relation to an assessment year or it are in relation to a financial year. But what is the purpose? The purpose is for the purpose of calculation of income tax, for the purpose of calculation of tax under Income Tax Act 1961, as per the first proviso to subsection 5 of section 132, where section 132 relates with search and seizure, and as per that, where the principal director general or director general, or where the principal director or director, or where the principal chief commissioner or chief commissioner, or where the principal commissioner or commissioner, or where the additional director or additional commissioner, for or the joint director or joint commissioner, in response, in consequence of an information in his position, that they has reasons to believe that any person to whom a summons under subsection 1 of section 37 of the Income Tax Act 1922, or under subsection 1 of section 131 of Income Tax Act of this Income Tax Act 1961, a notice has been given with respect to, for the purpose of issue, it was issued to produce the books of accounts, or cause to produce any books of accounts or other documents, or has failed to produce or has caused to produce such books of accounts, as are required by the such summons or notice which has been issued, and to whom any person to whom the summons or notice has been issued and produce, or which any books of accounts or other documents which are useful or relevant for any proceedings under the Income Tax Act of 1922 or under this Income Tax Act of 1961, where any person who is in possession of any money, bullion, jewelry, or valuable articles or things, and such money, bullion, jewelry, or other valuables, why, and they represent either wholly or partly income or property which has not been disclosed for the purpose of income Indian Income Tax Act 1922, or which are here referred herein as undisclosed income or undisclosed property, or the rates which are in force in relation to an assessment year or financial year means for the purpose of calculation of income tax, under which is chargeable under subsection 4 of section 172, and where this is related to a persons of non-resident who are from occasional shipping business. As per section 172, the person shipping business of non-residents, the non-residents who are involved in shipping business, and for the purpose of levy and recovery of tax in the case of any ship belonging to or chartered by a non-resident which carries passengers. That ship carries livestock, mail or goods shipped at any port in India, and where such ship carries passengers, livestock, mail or goods shipped at any port in India at 7.5% of the amount which has to be paid on account of such a carriage to the owner or the charterer or to any other person in this behalf, whether that amount is paid or payable in or out of India, shall be deemed to be the income occurring in India to the owner of such carriage. Then, therefore, before the departure from any port in India of such ship, the master of the ship shall pay and furnish to the assessing officer a return of the full amount which has been paid or payable to the owner on or any person on this behalf on account of carriage of all the passenger, livestock, mail, or goods shipped at that to that port since the last arrival of that shop. Therefore, Section 172 relates to person of non-residents from occasional non-shipping business, and 172 is shipping business of non-residents. And for the purpose of calculation of income tax under subsection 2 of section 174, where section 174 relates to person who is living in India, the assessment of the persons who are living in India, where it appears to the assessing officer that any individual may leave India during the current assessment year or shortly after the expiry, and he has no present intention of returning to India on the total income of such individual for the period from the expiry of the previous year or for that assessment year up to the probable date of his departure from India shall be chargeable to tax in that assessment year itself. The total income of the completed previous years or any part of previous year, which in the period shall be chargeable to the tax at the rate or rates in force in that assessment year, and separate assessment shall be made in respect to such completed previous years or part of previous years. The assessing officer may estimate the total income. The assessing officer may estimate the income of such individual for such period or any part thereof, wherein it cannot be readily determined in any manner therein. And for the purpose of calculation of income tax under section 175, section 175 deals with person who are trying to alienate their assets, assessment of persons who are likely to transfer their property to avoid the tax liability, where it appears where notwithstanding anything which is contained in section 4. Section 4 of income tax relates to charge of tax. Under Chapter 2 of Income Tax Act 1961, basis of charge, Section 4 relates to charge of income tax, where any central act enacts that the income tax shall be charged for any assessment year at any rate or rates which we are studying under Section 2 Clause 37A, at the rates or those rates which shall be charged for the year in accordance with and subject to the provisions for the levy of additional income tax of this act, and in respect of the total income of the previous year of every person. Then, by the virtue of the provisions of this act, income tax is to be charged in the respect of the amount in respect of the income of a period rather than other than the previous year. Income tax shall be charged accordingly. And with respect to the income chargeable under subsection 1, income tax shall be deducted at source. Income tax deduction of income tax at source or deduction of income for which paid in advance, it shall be deducted or payable in accordance with the provisions of this act, that is Income Tax Act 1961. Therefore, for the persons who are likely to transfer their property to avoid tax liability, where it appears to assessing officer that in any current assessment year that any person is likely to charge, sell, transfer, dispose of their property with any of his assets with a view to avoid the payment of liabilities under the provisions of Income Tax Act 1961, and the total income of such persons for the period from the expiry of the previous year for the assessment year to the date when the assessing officer commences proceedings under this section, then shall be chargeable to tax in that assessment year, and the provisions under section 174 so far may apply to any proceedings in case of any person to whom as they apply in the case of persons living in India, or for the purpose of charging of income tax as per subsection 2 of section 176. Section 176 deals with discontinued business, discontinuation of business or dissolution. Therefore, where any business or profession is discontinued in any assessment year, the income of the period from the expiry of the previous year for that assessment year up to the date of such discontinuance may, at the discretion of the assessment year, be charged to tax in that assessment year. Any person, the total income of each completed previous year or period or a part of any previous year included in such period shall be chargeable to tax at the rate or rates in force in that assessment year, and separate assessment shall be made in the respect of such each completed previous years or any part of previous years. Therefore, any person discontinuing any business or profession shall give to the assessing officer notice of such discontinuance within 15 days of such discontinuance, and where any business is discontinued in any year, any sum received after the discontinuance shall be deemed to be the income of the recipient and charged to tax accordingly in the year of receipt. If such sum would have been included in the total income of the persons who has carried on the business, had such sum been received before such discontinuance, where the business is in continuance in any year on account of cessation of the profession by or the retirement, the person carrying on the profession or any sum received after the discontinuance shall be deemed to be the income of the recipient and charged to income tax accordingly in the year of receipt. In the case of persons where the tax is payable, where the tax has to be paid as per section 192, where 192 deals with deduction of tax at source from the income tax chargeable under the head salaries, where a person is drawing the income under the head salaries from that person, the tax is paid, but income tax will be deducted at source as per section 192, which deals with deduction of income tax at source and chargeable and computation of advance tax, computation of advance taxes as per the provisions in chapter falling under, where it is falling payable under the chapter 17C in case which is not falling under section 115A, where section 115A deals with the tax on dividends, tax on royalty, and technical services in the case of foreign companies, where the total income of a non-resident or a foreign company includes an income by way of dividend other than dividends referred to in section 1150, income interest received from government or an Indian concerns or monies borrowed, debts incurred by the government of India or the Indian concerns in foreign currency, interest received from the infrastructure debt fund, interest of the nature and extent referred to in section 194 LC, interest of the nature and extent referred to in section 194 LD, income received in the respect of units purchased in foreign currency of a mutual fund specified under clause 23D of section 10 of or of the unit trust of India, the income tax payable shall be aggregate of the amount of the income tax chargeable calculated on the amount of income by way of dividends other than dividends referred to in section 1150, if any included in the total income at the rate of 20 percentage, then the amount which has been calculated on the amount by way of income interest referred to in subclause 2, if included in the total income at the rate of 20 percentage, and as per which has been not included, which in case not falling under section 115B, when that income is not falling under section 115B, which relates to tax on winnings from lotteries, which relates to tax on winning from lotteries, crossword puzzles, races including horse races, card games, and other card games and other, where any sort of gambling, betting is in any form or nature whatsoever, when the total income of an assessee includes any income by way of winning from any lottery or crossword puzzles or a race, horse races, which not belonging from the activities of owning and maintaining the race horses, card games, and other sort of games of any gambling or betting of any form or whatsoever nature called, then the total income tax payable shall be aggregate of the amount of total income calculated on the income by way of winnings from such lottery or crossword puzzles, and the rate including the horse races or card games or any other games of any sort from the gambling or betting of any form or nature whatsoever at the rate of 30 percentage, and the amount of income tax shall, and the assessee which shall be chargeable had this income been reduced by the amount income referred in subclause 1, which means that the income which has been arised from lottery winnings from lotteries, crossword puzzles, races, including horse races, card games, and any other games of any sort, or gambling and betting of any nature. On those incomes, tax shall be levied at 30 percentage, or where the in case not falling under section 115B, where section 115B relates to tax on profits and gains of life insurance business, where the total income of an assessee includes any profits and gains from life insurance business. The income tax payable shall be the aggregate of the amount of income tax chargeable calculated on the amount of profits and gains of the life insurance business included in the total income or at the rate of 12.5 percentage. Therefore, the amount shall be multiplied by the rate of 12.5 percentage for the purpose of calculation of tax, and where the amount of income tax with which the assessee would have been charged, that had the total income of the assessee been reduced by the amount of profits and gains of life insurance business. Therefore, provided that where the assessee makes during the said previous year any deposit of an amount not less than 2.5 percentage, means 2.5 percentage of the profits and gains of the life insurance business in the security fund, the amount of the income tax payable by the assessee under this subclause said clause 1 shall be reduced by an amount equal to 2.5 percentage of such profits and gains, and accordingly the deposit of 33 and one third percentage required to be made under subsidiary 1 shall be calculated on the income tax which is so reduced, and where competition of advance tax payable under chapter 17c in a case not falling under section 115 triple b, which does not fall under section 115 triple b, where it relates to tax on income from units of an open and equity oriented fund of the unit trust of India or a mutual fund, where the total income of an assessee includes any income from units of an open-ended equity-oriented fund of the Unit Trust of India of a mutual fund. The income tax payable shall be aggregate of the amount of income tax shall be aggregate of the amount of the income tax calculated on income from units of an open equity ended oriented fund of the Unit Trust of India or of a mutual fund at the rate of 10 percentage, and the amount of income tax with which the assessee would have been charged had his total income been reduced by the amount of income calculated tax calculated on such income from of an open ended equity oriented fund of Unit Trust of India or of a mutual fund at the rate of 10 percentage, and where the income which is not falling in case of section 115E, where 115E relates to tax on investment income and long term capital gains, where tax on investment total income of an assessee being a non resident Indian includes an income from investment or income from long term capital gains of any asset other than a specified asset, and income by way of long-term capital gains, the tax payable by him shall be aggregate of the amount of income tax calculated on the income in the respect of investment income referred to in clause A, included in the total income at the rate of 20 percentage, where the amount of income tax calculated on the income by way of long-term capital gains and the amount of income tax with which he would have charged had this total income been reduced by the amount of income, and not falling under Section 164, charge of income tax, share of beneficiaries unknown, where the individual shares of the persons on whose behalf or for whose benefit such income or such part thereof is receivable are indeterminate or unknown income, and such persons being hereinafter in this section relevant income, part of the relevant income beneficiaries shall be charged on the relevant income or part of the relevant income at a maximum marginal rate, and in case not falling under section 164A, charge on tax in case of oral trust, where the representative assessee tax, in the previously we have said about charge in section 164A, charge of tax in case of oral trust, where a trustee receives or is entitled to receive any income on behalf of for the benefit of any person under an oral trust, notwithstanding anything contained in the provisions of this act shall be chargeable on such income at a maximum marginal rate, or under not falling in section 167B, where it relates to charge of tax where shares of members in association of persons or a body of individuals unknown, where the shares of the members in an AOP or a BOI, association of person or body of individuals as defined under the word persons, they fall under the definition of word persons, where the individual share of the members of an association of persons AOP, or where the individual share of the members of a body of individuals which is other than a company or a corporate society registered under the Societies Registration Act 1816 or under any law corresponding to that act in force, then in the whole or any part of the income of such associations or a body are indeterminable or unknown, tax shall be charged on the total amount of the association or body at the maximum marginal rate, provided that where the total income of any member of such association or body is unknown, where the total income of the association or of the association of persons or body of individuals it is not determinable or unknown, then tax shall be charged on that total income at maximum marginal rate, where the total income of any member of such AOP or BOY is charged at a rate which is higher than the maximum marginal rate, then tax shall be charged on the total income of association or a body of individual at such higher rate, where the competition of advance tax payable under Chapter 17C in a case not falling under Section 167B, where it does not fall under Section 167B, which we have read, or the rate or rates of income tax specified in this behalf in the Finance Act of the relevant financial year, where it relates to the income of the persons arriving. It shall be determined at rate or that rates of income tax which has been specified in the Finance Act of that relevant year, and for the purpose of competition of income advance tax payable under Chapter 17C in case in a case which is falling under Section 115A or Section 115B or Section 115BB or Section 115BBB or Section 115E or Section 164, 164A, 167B, or at the rates or rates specified in accordance specified in Section 115A, where Section 115A, which has been specified in the Finance Act applicable relevant financial relevant year, and for the purpose of deduction of tax under Section 193, where interest on securities, the person who is responsible for the paying to any resident any income by way of interest on securities, then at the time of crediting such income to the account of the pay at the time of payment or at the time of payment in cash or by issue of check, which is earlier deduction of income tax at the rate in force on the amount of interest payable, or tax deduction of tax under Section 194 relates to dividend, where the principal officer of the Indian company or a company which has been prescribed arrangements for the declaration of and payment of dividends, including dividend on preference share within India, then before issuing of any check or warrant in respect of dividend to a shareholder who is resident in India, deduct from that amount of dividend income tax at the rate in force, or deduction of tax under section 194A relates to interest other than interest on securities, where any person who is not an individual or a HUF which is responsible for paying to any resident any income by way of interest other than the income by way of interest on securities, shall at the time of credit of such income the account of the pay, or at the time of payment thereof in cash or by the issue of a check or draft or any other mode which is earlier, deduct tax at such rates. And section 194D relates to 194B relates to winning from lottery crossed results, where the such amounts exceeds 10,000, then at the time of payment deduct tax at the rates in force. In the case of section 194BB, winnings from horse races, any person who is a booker or a person to whom a license has been granted by the government under any law for the time being in force for the horse race or any race course for arranging or wagering or betting in any race course, who is responsible for paying to any person any income by way of winnings, then at the time of payment deduction of tax at the rates in force. Where in the case of section 194D, insurance commission, a person responsible for paying to any resident any income by way of remuneration or reward or commission, then income tax shall be deducted at such rate in force, or for the purpose of deduction of tax under section 194 LB or 194 LBB or 194 LBC or section 195, where certain incomes as per section 194 LB, certain incomes from units of business trust as per section 10, which is payable by a business trust to a unit holder who is a resident, then the person that is responsible for making the payment shall at the time of the credit of such payment to the account of the pay, or at the time of payment in cash or issue of a check, deduct income tax at the rate of 10 percentage. And the under section 194 LBB, income in respect of units of unit investment fund, deduction deduction of tax shall be under section 10, and payment in cash or by issue of check or draft in any other mode whichever is earlier. Under section 194 LBC, income in respect of investment in securitization trust, wherein income is payable to an investor under who is a resident in respect of investment in securitization trust. Therefore, as per the earlier, which is payment in cash or by the issue of check, deduct tax at the rate of 25 percentage if the pay is in individual or HUF, or deduction of tax at the rate of 30 percentage if the pay is in either person other than individual and HUF, or any other sums under section 195, any other sums where any person is responsible for paying to any non-resident which is not even company or to a foreign company interest, then the rate of income tax which shall be payable in this behalf, deduct tax at the rates in force. In the case of section 90, double taxation relief, where on a single income the tax is levied in two countries for the purpose of giving relief, that in a tax shall be levied in one country only and providing a relief in another country. In that case, agreement with foreign countries or specified territories, when the central government may enter into an agreement with the government of another country outside India or specified territory outside India for the granting of relief in respect of income on which paid both income tax under this act and income tax in that country, then in that case the relief shall be provided where the central government has entered into an agreement with the government outside India or a specified territory outside India. Relief in relation to the assessee to whom such agreement applies, the provision of this act shall apply to the extent they are more beneficial. They would be applicable to the extent when they are beneficial to that assessee. And under section 90A, where it relates to the adoption by the central government of the agreement between specified association for double taxation relief, it shall be implemented provisions as may be necessary for adoption and implementation where the granting of relief is beneficial and for exchange of information relevant to the evasions, prevention of evasion of avoidance of income tax and the recovery of income tax under this act and the corresponding law in force in that specified territory with whom the central government has entered into an agreement. Therefore, for the purpose of section 2 clause 37A, rates or rates in force shall be in relation to an assessment year or financial year, which means for the purpose of calculating income tax under section 132 or a tax computation of tax chargeable income tax chargeable under section 172, 174, 175 or section 176 or income tax under section 192, which are deduction of tax at source under section 192, whereas income is chargeable under that salaries and the respective provisions, and where the relief has been provided for an agreement entered into by the central government under section 90 or an agreement notified by the central government under section 90A, whichever is applicable, and for at the rates or the rates of income tax which has been specified at the rate or rates of income tax which has been specified in this behalf in the Finance Act of the relevant financial year of the relevant year by the Finance Act. The rates which has been specified in this behalf in the Finance Act of the relevant year.